Okay, hi everybody, I'm Lee from East West Ayurveda and Yoga, and tonight with my colleague Beatrice we're going to be talking to you about all sorts of amazing informations on how to cleanse the body, how to cleanse your home, what to do about it, be mindful of the sorts of things that are out there that are in our environment, and we need to be taking care of that. So looking forward to having a really good conversation about that tonight.
Thanks, Lee.
You're welcome.
Thanks, Bianca, for having us.
Yes.
That is lovely.
Yes,
Exciting.
thank you, Bianca, for having us tonight.
You're welcome. We'll jump on now.
Okay.
Thanks for tuning in this evening. We've got Lee Zvanovic and Beatrice Lem in the studio. Welcome both.
Welcome, and thank you so much for having us yet again. It's been the best May ever. Lots of chatting for us.
May is Health and Wellness Month.
Yeah,
yes, so
absolutely.
we're definitely talking about all things health and wellness, and this evening we want to talk about just detoxing the home, the body, loving our liver, you were saying earlier, Beatrice, and the choices we make. So if you want to kick it off.
Wonderful. Thanks so much, Bianca, and thanks again for having us.
You're welcome.
Yes, as you know, we're holding this wonderful 3-part workshop series in May, and the first one sneaks over to the 2nd of June as well. So we had our first one last week, which was really looking at what is making us unwell, and pulling it apart to look at all aspects of our day-to-day living and all the challenges that we are faced with. So it's like no time ever before, really, that if you look around, there's potential for everything to make us unwell, and it can get a little bit overwhelming for us as well. But what we are also looking at is how to support that, and how to support our clients in reversing some of these effects that these toxins have on us physically. I mean, now more than ever, we've had so many chronic illnesses, ranging from even as simple as, not simple because it's quite debilitating, so insomnia, migraines, bloating, all sorts of like fevers, or heart flushes, skin diseases, and of course autoimmune, and there's so many new diseases, but there's no known cause of it either, where these are coming from. So we're looking at diving in and taking on the personal responsibility for our own health and our own well-being, because we can't run away from these toxins anymore. They're here to stay. That we have created a world which is full of toxicity, anywhere from our home to out on the street, when you're walking down the street, and the fumes and all sorts of things that you are consuming, to your work environment. They're just everywhere. But rather than leaving you in a state of complete depletion and depression, going, well, what's the point, I'm just going to get sick anyway, that we are looking at being able to empower ourselves to be able to turn it around and keep ourselves well, or as well as what we can be. So we are really on the hot topic of daily cleanse, and that's actually an Ayurvedic principle in itself, which 5,000 years ago plus we were told you need to do daily cleansing. And we have a beautiful morning routine, for example, that helps to support that evening detox that naturally occurs in the body, and so further promoting that. And then from there we need to dive a little bit deeper now, because even some of the healthy, or what we think are healthy foods, have actually got a lot of toxicity in them as well. So we need that time and that space in the morning to lengthen that a little more, to really allow the liver in particular to do its work, and to really allow that cleansing process.
What do you mean by lengthen? Is that going a few more hours without food before we start our meal? Is that what you mean?
Yeah. So really looking at, I think we spoke about it a couple of weeks ago, some of the practices that we do or that we encourage. And I mean, I think the lemon water has been something that has been explored on so many levels, and it is a very well known detox for the liver. Okay, so it's a flush through, but looking at it and taking it that little bit, a step a little bit further. So not just having one small glass with a slice of lemon in it, which is absolutely fine for when you are healthy and well. It just helps to promote that flushing through in the morning. But we're looking now going a little deeper and actually increasing the amount of lemon. So going from a half to a whole juice of a lemon in more of a significant amount of water. So talking about 300 to 500 mils. So, and then allowing that process to take its course as well. So not just drinking that and then jumping into having a fried up meal, for example. So allowing the space and giving the body time. I think that's what I mean by lengthening that detoxing period in the morning. I mean, it's quite a common habit, I think. You know, you wake up or you even get a coffee in bed, and it's the first thing that people have. It's not ideal because straight away that's putting a lot of strain and stress on the body without actually being able to have that detox.
So it's really important to put that water in our body before anything else. Wait a little bit and then start eating.
Yeah,
and
definitely.
Especially after a coffee, it's so dehydrating. So if you do have, you know, if there is no way you can start your day without it, then at least follow up with a big glass of water, so that you can then rehydrate your body, because that's not what people don't do, that because they don't know about it, and that's what we're here to say. Like, put the hydration in wherever you can, because that is so significant, especially in the morning, because so much of our body is fluid and it needs fluid replenishing. So that's why we're saying drink the water wherever you can.
And one of the things that we've discovered just recently, looking into that, so as soon as you consume fats, then the liver stops detoxing, which is doesn't mean that fats are a bad thing, but it's just, again, lengthening that process of giving the liver that space and time to actually do its work, because it's got a much heavier load than ever before. So it's not, as I was saying before, you know, all of those extra burdens on the body, apart from the food choices that we are making. And so if we dive into that a little bit, to look at all the different potential toxins or challenges that we are faced every day, even just looking in the home, like we can really start to make a big difference. So setting the food aspect aside, let's look at some of our practices and some of the things that we actually purchase, because we actually have a choice as to what we purchase. And there are a lot of alternate options out there, which is wonderful. It's just a matter of encouraging it and really, and also simplifying things. We think that the more ingredients makes it a better product, where is actually not the case. So bring it back to real simplicity. So things like if you have a dog in the house, and sometimes you can get a bit of a sort of a dog smell in the house, and people think, okay, I'll have the air fresheners or scented candles. Now all of those are highly toxic. And it was an interesting little exercise the other day. My daughter's looking at buying a house at the moment, so I went to an open inspection, and they had the scented candles in each of the rooms, and I had serious headache for the rest of the evening. It was just so overpowering.
Really?
Yeah.
And how long were you around the candles for?
Oh, it's probably in there, you know, in and out, 5-10 minutes. But and I suppose also you're not used to it, because I don't expose myself that much to those sorts of things anymore. So the scented candles, and we were just talking about it the other day, and I was nearly going to bring in my little ghee lamp. Okay, so it's really nice to have, it's really lovely to have things like candles around, you know, a flame. It's actually bringing in what we, you know, that little sacred space. You bring in the 5 elements into your home, which is a really lovely practice.
It is calming, isn't it?
It is
the
beautiful.
light, the flame.
Absolutely.
What is that?
So
it's a bit of a spiritual thing
Well,
too, isn't it?
it
Yeah.
just
Candles.
connects to you because we are light inside. So I think it's just
Mm.
that immediate connection to you see that beautiful movement in the flame and you feel that within you because that's what's happening within us. So
Yeah, it is.
so we just have to find different ways of using a flame that is not toxic and a ghee lamp.
And
Great.
from an Ayurvedic perspective, I mean, we are made up of the 5 elements, you know, so
Yes.
having that balance in the home, so bringing a plant in, I mean, that in itself is a beautiful way of detoxing the home as well. So bring in some beautiful fresh plants into the home, and bring in the fire element, so have the candles and things like that. So it's just burning oil, so either ghee or like a sesame oil. So you just use like a organic cotton thread, and you place it in. It's like a little brass lamp,
Yes.
and then you can light that. So they, it's just a beautiful, and it's a really lovely offering that you're making to the family as well. So using the oils, it's then that offering to the family, which is just lovely.
Is that a slow burn, the ghee?
It does. So the wicks are just cotton threads, and it just slowly burns the ghee. And I mean, if you wanted to, if you needed the scent, just a little drop of essential oil, you know, like a pure essential oil, which are fine. But it's when you get those cosmetic, artificial flavors and scents, that's where we're coming into a lot of problems.
Exactly.
So perfumes, colognes, aftershaves. Look, what shampoo?
Cleaning products.
Yeah.
You just need to be reading the list of what's in there and scare yourself literally and go and check out what some of these things are. And there's a lot of DDT, there's a lot of formaldehyde, all of those products which somehow are still infiltrating through, and in it, that's a really big problem for us now. DDT was banned back in 1987, but in our DNA and in our products, it's still around, and it's causing lots of issues that Beatrice has spoken about. So they need to go.
They do, and I mean, there has been research done as well to say that, you know, those the laundry detergents with a lot of the perfumes in it, the fabric softeners, the scented candles, air fresheners, perfumes, colognes, aftershaves, they damage the lungs, and it collects in the liver and reduces the functioning of the liver, and it weakens your immunity, and it actually feeds the pathogens. And so this is where we are really hot on, and a lot of the work from Anthony William with the medical medium, and he talks about that basically all of our illnesses come from the feeding of pathogens. Or sorry, let's reverse that. So the illnesses come from pathogens, so bacterias and viruses that are sitting in the body, and we are actually feeding them with all of these problem foods and problem toxic environments that we are creating. So not only in the home, but you need to think about your office as well. You need to think about your car. Like if you have an air freshener in the car, can you please just go and take it and pop it in the bin, you know, and all your perfumes and things like that. Look, it's a huge market, and I know that there's a lot of money to be spent on them, but let's, again, keeping it simple. Let's use simple essential oils, and it's just incredible the difference that it makes to you as well, and to the people around you. I mean, if you go into a lift and somebody's just been in there with strong aftershave, it's almost like knocks you off, doesn't it? Because it's just so overpowering.
And it shouldn't be like
No,
that anyway.
no.
And that's just not having the knowledge.
Yeah.
And that's what we're hoping to do, is like think about what goes into your body every day, what you're exposed to, so that you can start thinking, well, do I really need to have all these products, and what's the replacement for it?
Yeah, and we're looking at that as well. So again, not leaving people high and dry, going, well, what do I do instead? So for example, something like a Castile Soap, which is a plant-based soap or plant, and it has got no animal fats in it, and you can use it to wash your dishes. You can use it to wash your vegetables. which you all should be doing as well. So that's
Even organic
even
vegetables.
all the organic ones as
They are
well.
often sprayed with MSG.
Yeah.
As so you need
Organic.
yes.
Yeah.
And so you need to wash absolutely everything. Plus, also we don't know what critters have been moving around.
That's
on
true.
them.
Snails.
And so there could be some sort of residue from them as well. And we don't, we're
That's
working
true.
hard to get the bacteria out of our gut. So we, just be mindful. It's a daily practice of just washing everything and doing it well.
So do you have to wash it with soap? Do you? Warm water won't cut it.
Using the soap, or I think we spoke about it last time, using the turmeric as well. Did I mention that? No, we didn't talk about that. So
Okay.
so you can fill up your sink with sort of, not obviously hot water, because you don't want to sort of partially cook your vegetables.
Yeah, true.
So sort of like a sort of just a tepid temperature, and you pop some a teaspoon of turmeric in there, and allow the vegetables to soak, and it actually extracts a lot of the chemicals out of the vegetables, which is really good. The other thing that I really want to bring home is the more of this sort of practice that we do, people go, well, I haven't got time for that, but if you allow yourself the time, it actually starts to simplify your life, because you start to that is then what you put your efforts into. That is what you find important. Often I say to clients, I say, well, what is important to you? Where's your priority list? And where do you sit on that priority as well? And quite often it's right down the bottom, and sometimes they're not even on the list. But if we turn it around and we pop yourself up on top, then everything else flows from there, and you're going to make those choices that is going to serve self and serve the body, serve the mind, the soul, the spirit, the heart. And then once you are filling that space, you then become this beautiful glow for everybody else, and you can radiate that out, and it's sort of like that snowball effect, isn't it? So if there's anger, it produces more anger. But if there's that self-care, that love, that connection, then that can flow too. We've got to turn it around. It's gone the other way too much.
Exactly.
I'm just sort of having thoughts now, thinking, I mean, we understand that, and I am on the same page. 100% we have to put ourselves first, but there's people out there, we all know people out there, and they just don't put themselves first. They don't have that self-love, they don't have that need to, they just eat junk food. People with serious health issues eating really bad food. And I think to myself, wouldn't you want to have fruit and veg? But it's just how they think. So these conversations are good, because it's bringing that, we're just opening up that conversation about self-love, health, wellness, take care of ourselves. It starts there, self-care, like you said.
Absolutely, it is. Our bodies are our responsibility, nobody else's, and so you have to step up into it and make those changes. Otherwise, you're looking at a long life of disease, and why would you ask that? And why would you want to put yourself in that position to have, doctor's appointments every week and this and that? I mean, why would you do that?
And I think sometimes you go down that path because it's that turn, and you start feeding the imbalance. And also we feel quite disempowered that we, because there are no answers for why I feel so lousy. Why do I have all of these chronic conditions? Why am I feeling like this? And nobody's able to give me an answer. And so, as Lee said, you're just jumping from one doctor to the other. And don't get us wrong, doctors and the medical system are amazing and honour them so deeply. But at some point we have to go, it is our responsibility to actually look after our own self. And we don't want to overwhelm anybody either. So we need to think little baby steps. If you can make one change for this week, or bring one thing in that is going to make you more nourished, or allow your body to have a rest from the toxicities, and maybe choose one thing that you can eliminate, and then that will start then turning things around for you. but that's also hard to do when you're on your own, and that's where we are also offering what we call our New You program, which is an interesting. I mean, the New You, it's there for us to help and support our beautiful clients, and whoever is out there, if you want to come in, please do. And we hold like group sessions as well. So, I mean, for some people, you know, they can't afford to do a one-to-one session, but if we can get collective and speak to the wider community and start spreading the word, that's really what we want to do, and guiding people step by step, starting wherever you are at. You might be the fittest person, but there's still some ailments you want to detox, absolutely, or you might be chronically and very seriously ill. You can make a change, little bit by little bit.
That's right.
And that's what we would really love to be there to help and support people. So that's that home environment. We can talk about that for
hours.
So like, for example, just even composting, you know, things like that, being able to compost and being able to, and I'll tell you what, if you go down this path, you'll have a lot of of scraps, which is wonderful. But you know, composting, it doesn't have to be a difficult thing, but then you can put it back into the soil, and then you can start growing your own vegetables, and you don't need a massive garden for it. You can even have it in pots, you can have it on the windowsill, you can have your fresh herbs there. And this is pranic food, okay, food that has got life force, and it's life giving to you as well. So we need to get away from that dead food, I guess. The dead food, which is old food, like if it's been reheated number of times, packaged foods. So if you think about what's sitting on the shelf, and you have no idea of actually how long it's been sitting there for a starter, but how long the actual process was from originally sourcing the food from the earth, and when it comes to you in its packet, that's a long time.
So
it is sitting there. It is
so it's really just a filler. It just fills people up.
That's right.
So they're not hungry anymore, but it's got no nutrition.
There's no nutrition in it, and that's what we're sort of advocating about. Go to your local market, go to your farm gates, try to think about the foods that you, and it doesn't have to be complex. You don't have to have every vegetable and every piece of fruit ever made by Mother Nature. You just need to think about what works in your body, and fruit and vegetables have all the nutrients, so do the herbs. They have all of the nutrients. In fact, every plant on this planet has a medicinal cure for some particular ailment. That's why they're there. That's why fruit and vegetables are there for us. So we are very big advocates of making sure that every day you have an amount of both, because it's your medicine first up.
100%.
Absolutely.
Yeah, isn't it? So and for some people, putting fruit and vegetable on a plate in front of them will be an experience, but worth the journey, worth the change.
And also, I quite often, you know, giving the gratitude for the food before you eat it.
Absolutely.
But also when you look at your plate of food, and it's just full of colour. There's so many colours and so many textures. And it's just amazing, and once you experience that, you won't want to have the other food anymore.
That natural transition does actually happen, because all of a sudden you're not hungry. You've pacified that craving for sweet and carbs, because those sorts of simple foods are actually taking away that issue, and your liver is like detoxing and cleansing itself up. It's a hard-working organ, and so are the other organs in the body, but it actually, what you're doing is you're healing it. And so those natural cravings they'll just disappear, and all of a sudden you will be feeling full, because your body's getting the nutrients that it actually needs.
I'm glad you mentioned cravings, because that's a big one for people, isn't it? That's why people can't do diets, or they can't change their lifestyle, because they've got the cravings.
And that's what we have to overcome, and that's like where you do feel worse before you get better. But if you've just got that support team through, say, like our New You program, then that's the probably the crux time where you do need the support, and we're available to talk through that, and to just get people on track, so that, and it's okay if they fall off the wagon, because tomorrow is another day. There's no shame, blame, or whatever here. It's about, well, I'm going to give this a go, and you have to have that belief in yourself, and having that support from us, I think, is really, from the feedback we get from my clients that is really a fundamental part when you're just beginning this journey. So baby steps. That's it.
Absolutely.
Baby steps.
And the cravings quite often, we were talking about it, that fruit has been given quite a bad rap with the sugar content, etc. And again, yes, fruit can cause issues if it's consumed with other foods, in particular with oils, fats and oils. So once it's been consumed with fats and oils, the body can't digest it efficiently, and then there's a back storage, and then it causes all sorts of other complications. But what we were talking about before with regards to our morning cleanse, so that also with having the fruit in the morning, and just fruit, so you don't go and add your yogurt or your nut butters and all sorts of things like that, because that's when it does cause digestive issues and complications.
How long do you have to wait after eating fruit? That let's say someone wants to have some nut butter on toast, they've had their fruit, then how long do they wait?
Well, we do recommend that if you are really wanting to do a cleanse, so it depends of what your agenda is, okay, what your intention is. But if you can use the morning to have your lemon water, and we also advocate for celery juice as well. So that's being proven to be a very powerful cleanser and healer as well. And then following from there, that then you can enjoy fruit, and you can enjoy it as much as you actually feel, so don't feel that you need to starve yourself, but really fill yourself. I've just made a little bit of a list here of some of the benefits of some of the fruits. So apples, for example, anti-inflammatory and colon cleanser. Apricots rejuvenates and is anti-cancer. Avocados, the ultimate nourisher, brain food, and avocados we would recommend after lunch, so because it's a fat, so we wouldn't have that with the other fruits. Bananas, great gut support, antiviral, fungal, bacterial. The berries are fighters of free radicals and heart support, and kind of the list goes on. And so each of these beautiful little pockets of wonderful nature's goodness are just perfect in themselves. Yes, they have been, a lot of them have been modified, we've gone and interfered, and we want this sort of taste or this colour, and we've mucked around with them, but it is what it is.
Organic where we can.
Organic where you can, and seasonal. Absolutely. Organic where you can, in particular things like potatoes, which are in the earth. So if you can have as pure earth as possible, so those root vegetables, that would be ideal. But then again, things like broccoli, they're sprayed a lot. So you just need to make sure that you wash them and source them locally, and seasonal. That's a really important one too, because if they're out of season, there's been more intervention, really.
And I heard that celery is the most sprayed vegetable, something like 15 pesticides and chemicals. So at least with the celery, try and make sure you get organic. I've heard with that one.
And also the Castile Soap is a really good one for removing a lot of those chemicals with the celery. So what I'll do is I'll grab my celery.
Aren't the chemicals in it, like when it's grown, or is it on the outside? I don't know.
I wouldn't know the exact details with that. I mean, a lot of it would be on the surface. So we will do as best as we can to at least remove the surface. Wash them. So I'll actually soak it or pop them in the water, the celery sticks, and then wash them.
How much you have to scrub? like a little bit, or you have to really give it a good, like spend a couple of minutes scrubbing?
Give it the best clean you can give, because the more you clean it, then the cleaner it's going to be for your
So
consumption.
not just like flick.
No,
you know, you see people
no,
washing, flip.
And
No,
again,
spend a bit
making
of
it
time.
work for your routine as
Yeah.
well. So if you're going to say, I'm not going to have it because it's too hard, I'm just going to use this packaged meal instead, I would say you'd still be better off giving it a best clean that you can, and then still making that your choice. So if we look at some of the food additives, they're pretty extensive, and a lot of them are hidden. You know, they don't necessarily, like for example, they call them natural flavors, and you think, oh yeah, that's fine, it's a natural flavor, but
What
it's
does that
actually
mean?
MSG.
Mm.
Yeah.
Why do they call it?
Yeah.
How are they allowed to use the word natural then?
Yeah.
Because it's
Well, I
you know,
suppose MSG and it is a
because it's natural.
Is it? It's naturally
but
not good.
Naturally,
Yeah, that's right. Which MSG in itself, it causes inflammation and swelling of the brain.
And it's addictive.
Yeah, and it's addictive. You know, those packets of chips that have got lots of MSG, you can't stop. You start eating it, and you just keep eating it. But it's underlying in a lot of the healthy, you know, healthy lines
What's
as well.
it called? They wouldn't put MSG on the packet, don't they? Can't they hide it in a different name that we don't understand?
Numbers
They
and
do.
names.
Do they do that?
Yeah,
Yeah.
and the tiniest print.
Tell me about it. I've got to get my phone and magnify it.
I know,
Exactly.
actually,
the
doing that
tiniest
lately.
print, so that you're not going to be too bothered.
It is often under different names, and so flavours, natural and artificial, are lab produced chemicals basically that they put in there, and hidden MSG. Artificial sweeteners causes liver damage. Citric acid is another one that you really need to be aware of, so that's quite irritating for the stomach lining.
So we think that's good. We hear citric acid, it's citrus, it's vitamin C. We don't. That's why it's good to know.
Grab an orange.
So citric acid.
Yeah, and can cause inflammation. And then of course the MSG, what we've spoken about, and the flavours. Nutritional yeast is another one which they use as a vegan substitute for cheese, or for flavouring, but that's actually got MSG in it as well.
How's that? Is that what makes it tasty and salty?
That's what MSG does. It's a flavour enhancer.
What, they've all got it?
Yeah.
MSG in all
in many products, and a lot of the preservatives. So, you know, how is something able to sit on the shelf for so long? It's because it has the preservatives in it, and it's very difficult for the body to eliminate that. And of course, alcohol is another one which is very taxing on the liver, and it's
even a little bit. You know how they say in moderation.
Well,
I don't drink, so it doesn't bother me. But for those who
Mm-hmm.
like to say that it's healthy to have one or two here and there, you know, that's what we're told. But is that true?
Well, it depends where you are. If you're cleansing and you're really serious about it, then probably not for a little while. You know, if you want to get the best out of all the effort you're going into, then elimination is probably part of what to do there.
Yeah, and the other thing that you need to think of is that we, as we said before, we're in a time like no other where the liver and the body is under a lot of stress because of what we daily need to, I mean, look even just around here, all the technology of what we're sitting in now. All right, we just take that all for granted, but it has to be processed by the body. And so basically we are saying that the body's already having a lot of challenges. So we have this knowledge of what doesn't serve us, is not good for us, and we have a choice of what we want to do with that. So we're not here to say yes or no, it is your choice, but we do know the effects that alcohol has on the system, and it's not a good one. So it's your choice, and we're not here to say that you are doing the right or the wrong, but it's really your choice, and you need to work with that, I think.
Interesting. Now, I just want to backtrack to the foods. What about canned beans? You know, I know that's probably a dead food because you know the dates are like 4 years on it. But what do you come across?
I mean, I have canned foods in my cupboard.
Tuna and sardines.
So because you know, sometimes you just need a go-to. life does get busy, and that is the beauty of a lot of the things that we have on offer to us. But it's then the choices of how often. So for beans and things like that, if you can think ahead and do your soaking the night before, they don't actually take that long to cook up if you've soaked them the night before. The only issue I would have with canned foods is the heavy metal.
The BPA.
The heavy metal.
BPA free, can't you?
Yeah, so that's another thing that we do a lot of work with, is reducing the heavy metal load in the body, and so canned food is obviously going to have an element of that as well.
Basically anything that's packaged or processed, you need to consider how much you're going to consume of that. So purely because of that fact, and it is a heavy load on the body. But we are working people, and time management and availability and all of those sorts of things. But like we've been saying, once you get into the habit of preparing, you'll find that making a soup, you can do that in 20 minutes. You can make a lot of food in 20 minutes, fresh from start, and it'll be ready to go on the plate. And it's just knowing what to do, really.
A lot of people have forgotten how to cook. They've forgotten how to put foods together, and we say less is more, and so keep it simple and doable. So like I was saying to Lee today, I made today just a quick salad for lunch. I made it in the morning because I had to work, and it was just a put together of all like some lettuce, some steamed potatoes, some orange juice, some pomegranate which I had growing, and a few different vegetables in there, and it was and a bit of a drizzle of honey over the top. It was so delicious.
Oil?
No oil.
Oh, you don't have oil.
Orange juice and honey. It's the best salad dressing. So you pop a little bit of lemon juice in there too, to give it a bit of a tang, and if you want a little bit of fats in there, you can pop an avocado in there.
Avocado.
Yeah.
Do you stay away from oils?
Have an avocado, or the other day I made a beautiful cashew butter as well, or cashew dressing. There's so many options. My daughter made a pumpkin sort of sauce, I guess, for pasta salad, and just steamed up some vegetables, blended it up with some spices and some herbs and some cashews, and then mixed it in through the pasta, and it's there. And pop a few fresh herbs out of the garden, or if you don't have them, then have the dried herbs. That's okay too.
Fine.
So should we stay away from like oils like olive oil and things like that, because you were saying that the liver can't detox when it has oils? Are we trying to stay away from oils and just get the natural oils?
Not necessarily. I think it is, the recommendation is to make about 10 to 20% of your diet of fats and oils
every day. So
reducing the intake of fats and oils. Okay, so fats, you've got to think about meat products as well. So if you eat meat, there's going to be fats in there. So there's actually even fats in vegetables, even though we don't think that there are. So so that's kind of the recommendation, is to reduce the intake, not to eliminate it. We don't say that at all. But also delaying the consumption of fats to allow that cleansing process in the morning.
So you start eating what, 2 or 3?
Lunchtime. From lunchtime onwards, you can pop some fats into.
So fat free in the morning, but from lunchtime onwards, then look at like nuts and seeds and avocado. Great way of putting some oil back into your body, because absolutely the brain needs to have that. That's essential. To have those fats, we most definitely need to include those. So.
Absolutely, and we also are looking into some of the substitutes. So if we say, okay, for example, vinegar, we don't recommend vinegar.
Even apple cider vinegar?
Even apple cider vinegar.
Really? Why?
Yeah, because it's kind of that feeling or that process of almost like you're pickling from fermenting on the inside.
Especially if it's taken in, in lots and lots of salad dressings and things like that. It is really hard on the body.
And then combine it with the oils. It's very difficult to digest. And so we recommend just use lemons and limes. Has that same quality and
gives you that zing that you're looking for.
Not even like 1 teaspoon in water, like twice a week. You just I did hear that it was good, so that's why I'm asking the question.
Surely.
Yeah, I mean we recommend to avoid vinegars. They say that it's one of the problem foods. The troublemaker foods.
But why?
Well, because
acidic.
Because it creates acidity, and it's hard work for the liver to actually digest it as well.
Because we want to alkaline the body.
It will create an acidity, and the whole point of all of this every day is to take the acidity out of the body, because that's what creates disease, and it also takes the oxygen out of the body as well, and disease grows in a body that is not oxygenated and is too acidic. So that's what we're suggesting or recommending at this point in time. There are things, like for pasta, instead of having the gluten, then go for a gluten-free pasta that's made of like a quinoa or something like that. Just so that you can, once again, gluten and dairy and eggs are, unfortunately, they're just not the same quality as what they used to be. So these are just recommendations of how to substitute, because we do need to make some substitutions now. And it's not like you can't have those, like carbs and things like that. We're just saying use these products instead of.
Makes sense.
Yeah, so that you get that feeling of fullness, because your body will require to have some carbs at some point in time for energy and all that. It's essential. So,
like you said, Beatrice, with the lettuce and the salad and the potato. Because we want to feel satiated. We're beings that we want to feel good. We've talked about that.
Absolutely. And potatoes is one of the ones that they say is such a big healer. Potatoes have also had a bit of a bad rap in their time, but they say it's the powerhouse of source of a lot of the trace minerals, and also antifungal, bacterial and viral, and it helps to heal the gut. So much of our
that's good news for a lot of people.
Definitely.
We like our spuds.
And steamed is best. Okay, so
not hot chips.
So let's turn this. Let's just dive in here.
Let's
just clarify that. And the reason why that the dear old potato has had such a bad rap is because of the way that it's actually being consumed. So with your MSG salt and your oil, and then the sour cream and the cheese and all of those layers that are being put onto it. So steamed potatoes are the best way to have them. That they are just like a real a meal in itself. So it's a great medicine, and sweet potato is also just as good. And also increasing your leafy greens. So leafy greens are also going to be really helpful to heal any chronic illness, and you will find that it will so improve your bowel motions as well, so your full digestion. And we're talking about the acidity before, so they're really good for alkalizing the body as well, and helps to heal the gut and remove the toxins. So these are some of those go-tos that you really should incorporate daily into your
and it gives you that level
diet.
Of protein as well, that we also need to have.
Which is interesting, because people say, well, where do I get my protein from? But it is actually in a lot of the vegetables. We do have that protein, don't we?
And fruit as well. So you're getting, if you're eating this kind of a diet, then you would most definitely getting your abundance of protein. every day. So you should be feeling pretty good.
Yeah.
Light and bright, as well.
Yeah. I heard someone say, animals, cows, etc., they eat greens, and then we eat the cows. So why don't we just go straight to the source if we want protein?
Absolutely. So we're kind of getting the second-hand protein through
With all the
eating
mucus and
Yeah, absolutely.
I even heard about milk that we're drinking. There's mucus and blood in milk. I know they pasteurize it and they clean it up, but if we knew what we were putting in with some of the dairy products,
it's just not the same as what it used to be. There's so many changes, and the bodies are struggling with it really.
Especially when it's overconsumed.
Yeah.
And this is just like a respite for the body, just to give it a break so that it can just clear out some toxins and re-establish some health guidelines within us. And then after a while, it just happens very naturally. You don't actually require all those other things, because you've changed your lifestyle. You're probably going to be drinking more water, you're going to be exercising more, you're going to be out in nature more because it just feels good. It's quite
naturally.
It's inexplicable. It's just because we are connected to nature that we just want more of it.
You'll look for more of the same. So once you get that turnaround, you do draw in more of what is serving you instead of the other hand. You also draw in more that what imbalances you. So it's just tipping over to that other spectrum, really, isn't it? And we're not saying you have to be vegetarian. That's not where we're standing at all. But we are inviting people to make those choices and to say, okay, everything in moderation, and perhaps it takes a lot longer for meat to be processed through the body, and so give it space.
72 hours, I heard.
Give it space. So don't eat it every day.
No.
And some people eat meat 3 times a day, and that's a lot of work that the poor old body has to do.
Doesn't meat rot in the body? That's the way it's digested, by rotting.
Well, it's because it's I suppose it depends on what sort of meat you're eating as well, and how often you're eating. But the body, it does slow down the metabolism, and
it's a heavy food, isn't
it?
It is, and it is acidic by nature.
Yeah. And especially if it's eaten with dairy and salt, red meat eaten with those products is really, really, really tough on the body. So. And also eating meat at night time is, going to bed with a full tummy of really difficult food to process really interferes with the biodynamics of the body, the circadian rhythms, your sleep pattern, energies, just psychological. It's because you're not getting the proper rest, because the body is it's agitated really when we think about it. And so if and as Beatrice said, we're not saying don't be, you don't have to stop eating it, but think about the times when you are eating it, have it at lunchtime, so you've got the afternoon to digest it, and have a light meal at night time, so that you're counteracting that. Unfortunately, we're just sort of used to having bigger meals at night because that's the way our culture works. But even just to have on weekends a lighter, have it at lunchtime, and then just sort of make the rest of the afternoon lighter. And it's always good to walk away not completely loaded, full up. Just have a little bit of space in your tummy, because 1/3 of your tummy is for food, 1/3 is for space, and 1/3 is for hydration. And so that's what's going on inside.
And not necessarily a cold beer.
I know, exactly.
And that's the other thing too. We should probably mention, sort of filling up with icy cold things before you start eating. Your little digestive flame is just going to be turned off, and so it's not going to be happy.
So if you're going to have your cold beer, then don't have it with a meal. Have it
on its own.
Have it on its own.
Yeah.
And one of the threads through here is creating space. Space in the body, space in the mind, space between activities, and coming back to the present moment. And the more we live in the present, the more likely we will make choices that will serve us and not go against us.
Incredible stuff. You know what you're talking about. Thank you so much for coming in. Thank you. We've gone a little bit over time, but you know, it's worth it, isn't it?
And thank you to our beautiful listeners.
Absolutely.
And we are there to be of service. So I would love to hear from your listeners as well. So if they have any questions or would like to know more, please
Send us an email here at the station.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Thank you.
Thanks, Bianca.
Thank you so
Welcome.
much.
All right. So if you want to give some details here, because I did go over about 7 minutes, so
Okay.
and that's fine. That's all good. But if you just want to say here,
Perfect.
how we can contact you.
Okay.
Thanks for listening, everybody.
Yes, thank you so much for listening. We're actually holding our second workshop on Sunday at the Eastwood Community Centre from 11 until 3. You're most welcome to go on our Facebook page. There's an Eventbrite link there for you to log on there and come and join us if you like. And also our mobile phone contact numbers are there as well. We will be doing some cooking. We'll be doing. We have an amazing presentation to be given by our colleague Tamika, who will be going into the nitty gritty of the unforgiving for and the healing for, so that we can make those choices to create some well health within us. So please join us, and we've also got our final workshop on Saturday, June the 4th, which will be about bringing everything together. So we'd love to see you there. Thank you.
Yeah, and we are available for yoga and sound massage and
consultations,
Ayurvedic treatments as well, and yoga therapy as well. And we have Dr. Sharma, who has been on here a few times before. He's available for consults and yoga therapy as well. So we'd love to have you come and join us.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thanks again, Bianca.
Everybody. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
So lucky to have you both walking with us.
Beautiful.